Barely, uncover the power of a tiny adverb. Hello, language learners. Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of adverbs of degree, focusing on a very common one. Barely. This little word packs a punch and is extremely useful when you want to add some nuances to your sentences. So, let's start. Barely is an adverb of degree that is used to show the minimal extent of an action or situation. It means only just, hardly, or scarcely. Its use often implies a situation was close to not happening at all. Here are a few examples. I barely made it to the bus. She barely passed the test. We barely spoke during dinner. In all of these sentences, barely implies that the situation was very close to not happening at all. The adverb barely is commonly used in English, often with verbs of sight or other senses, but it can actually be used with many verbs to emphasize the minimal nature of the action. For example, I could barely see the road through the fog. He was so quiet, I could barely hear him. Note that barely is usually placed before the verb it modifies. However, if there is an auxiliary verb, like could, in the examples above, barely is placed after it. When using barely in negative sentences, the construction is a bit different. In these cases, it often comes at the start of the sentence, followed by had, was, were, etc., and then followed by when or before, with the main action. For example, barely had I walked in when the phone rang. Barely were we seated before the concert started. These sentences are more formal and less common, but it's good to understand them if you come across them in reading or formal speech. And there you have it. We've barely scratched the surface of all the adverbs in the English language, but understanding how to use barely will already help you a great deal in making your English more natural and nuanced. Keep practicing, and you'll get the hang of it in no time. As always, remember that language learning is a journey, and every small step counts. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll see you in our next lesson. Happy learning!